Last year, I was sitting at my grandpa's house doing nothing in particular, looking for something to watch on TV, when I stumbled across this show. I had heard of it before. I had I want to say, no interest in it at all. I wasn't antagonistic to it. I just had no interest in viewing it. There were other things to see at the time. What those other things are, I have no idea anymore, but there were other things to see at the time. That being said, I was kind of bored or something, and so I stuck around with it because it seemed interesting enough and the action looked cool. And what I saw did what a show should do, what any show should do that is doing something right. I was sucked in, and I had not seen any previous episodes. I had not seen any previous clips. I had only seen commercials, and yet I wanted to see more, and I did not know who anybody was in that show. I guessed as much as I could guess, but I was sucked in. That day and the next day, I watched pretty much all of the previous episodes of this show. I think there had been 11 or 12 by then, and then I watched the show as it premiered until June of last year. And now, if you haven't guessed this yet, this show was Avatar: The Legend of Korra, the sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender. Folks, I have a long history with Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it goes actually all the way back to the beginning. I watched the premiere episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I actually liked it so much, I watched it at least 3 or 4 times because I liked it so much, and I was pretty faithful to the show until near the end of the second season, I believe. I unfortunately had to leave for Spain, and I couldn't finish it, so I know what happens, more or less. There were some shaky bits for me, like I didn't know what bloodbending was until I saw The Legend of Korra, and then I had people recap it for me, and I went, oh, that's it. Um, but I've always loved the show. I always loved the show. I always thought it was amazing. And it was great to get the sequel last year. I had no interest in it, and I don't know why, and I'm glad I got into it. That was just so amazing. All the characters were. I've got to do a review on the first season sometime. But all the characters were very good. They were very three-dimensional. They were very entertaining. Korra was a great avatar. She was funny. She was tough. Had a journey to go through that was different from Aang's. It was different from Aang's. It was unique to her, but it was still cool. It helps that she's attractive too, but I won't get too much into that. You you know what? It was just it was amazing. The story was great. I loved how they blended the sort of 1920s, 19 or early 1900s universe with sort of this steampunk stuff and mysticism. It was all cool. I loved how Republic City looked. This sort of mixture of Vancouver, New York, San Francisco, Tokyo, Shanghai, was as the I think creator said. I loved the plot. I loved the characters. I loved the villain. Amon was such a great villain. I like the Equalists. I like the commentaries on racism, on wanting to combat racism, on extremism, on the Equalists, on how the Equalists not only mirrored groups like the IWW back in the early 1900s, as well as the socialists, and you could also say the trade unions, and even the Progressive Party, which really shows itself through Asami's dad, who kind of looks like Theodore Roosevelt. Well, in the drawings, I thought less so in the cartoon, but you could see him kind of doing this strenuous life thing in the plane. I know Roosevelt always. Oh, I believe Roosevelt flew and always wanted to fly. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I loved how they did that and how it compared to, modern groups like Occupy Wall Street and Anonymous. That was great. It was just every minute of it. I was so engaged. Every minute was so amazing. Was I happy with the season finale? More or less. Not completely, but more or less. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. That's another day, another review. Plus, I've just got to watch that all over again because it was so amazing. But you will hear me reference it, so I can't believe I didn't warn you before. But this is not a review for people who don't want spoilers. I won't. I'll try to keep them to a minimum, but there will be them. They will be there. So basically, we start out with the typical Radio Man recap the omniscient narrator who sees all and tells all. Apparently, it's been 6 months since defeating Amon. I'm assuming everyone has their bending powers back. It's never addressed, but it seems that that's the case. I'm guessing that's the case. I don't know. And people seem to have moved on with their lives as much as possible. Korra's still training with Tenzin. Mako is now part of the police, the Republic City Police. I thought you had to be a metal bender to do that, but I guess not. The council's been disbanded, and apparently the Republic has elected a president. That makes me a little nervous. Um, no council? Is there a parliament? Is there a legislator? Is this president a dictator? That would make me nervous. Is he just got loose powers? Especially in context of what happens later in these two episodes, these first two episodes. But I'll get to that. I'll get to those in a minute. But it seems a little odd. That's all I'm saying. It just seems a little odd. Or is this just a president of Republic City? I don't know. Why would you put a dictator in the head of Republic City? I don't know. On second thought, Tenzin and his kids are pretty much the same. They've settled back into their normal lives as much as yeah. Tenzin's brother Boomy has retired from the armed forces and has decided to spend his time with Tenzin. Bolin's still doing the pro bending circuit, but is now working with other people instead of Korra and Bolin, not Korra and Mako, and it's not working out so well for him. You'll see why if you watch it. It does it's not pretty. Asami is trying to get her father's company back on track, and that will play a little bit into the arc of these first two episodes, but not hugely. She's kind of a minor character here. Kind of disappointing considering how much of a badass she could be. I'm hoping for some better development for her this season, although I fear that maybe they might relegate her to second place. I hope not. On a side note, for all of those of you who love Pabu, you will get your fill of Pabu, the strange-looking weasel, in these first two episodes, because he is all over the place. So anyway, the episode starts out like this. I'm one more hope, one more question. It seems like all the equalists, as far as we know, are gone. Like, they're not a problem anymore. Like, those feelings aren't an issue. Maybe because of this president. I don't know. Is he a non-bender? Is he a bender? I don't know. I'm a little curious because I always felt like, don't shove the equalists entirely out of the way. They don't have to be there at the forefront. Just the feelings should still be there. The attitude should still be there of the benders are getting better things than we are. But I don't know. I don't know if they'll do that. It's been 6 months. Maybe equalist feeling is completely gone, or sympathy. I would. We have to keep watching. But anyway, the episode starts out with this recap. Korra's being a little bit impatient with Tenzin, telling her what to do and not letting her training it be advanced enough. He wants to go on a tour of the air temples to help her spiritual journey, but first she and the gang are going down to the Southern Water Tribe for a big what I'm guessing is a winter solstice festival. Yeah, this leads to a little bit of comedy with Tenzin's brother, but I won't spoil that. I won't spoil that for you. Korra and Mako are, boyfriend, girlfriend. Getting used to the whole fact. Mako tries to be supportive, but unfortunately, he can kind of clash with Korra. Korra, in these two episodes, kind of acts like a jerk. A lot, and that's sad because I love Korra so much, and it was so exciting seeing her again, like after a whole year. It was like seeing an old friend, really. It was just wow. But but it's like then your old friend starts acting like a jerk, and it's like whoa, calm down, don't act like that. She can. I guess it's sort of the whole. I guess it's going to be a character dynamic. Her trying to deal with her relationship, Mako trying to deal with being in a relationship with her, with the Avatar, because this is an unusual one, and just the fact that Korra throughout these two episodes shows us that it seems like she's gotten a little bit of a big head. I mean, it seems like she's gotten a little too full of herself. She defeated Amon. She defeated one of the biggest threats. She defeated this huge threat, one of this massive revolution of Bolshevik proportions, you could almost say. And now she's trying to struggle with, being independent, and this is a lot of what's part of this episode is her trying to be independent, make it on her own, not have people tell her what to do, have people trust her, and she takes it out a lot on Mako and her father, who will play a very major role in these 2 episodes. And that's unfortunate because she comes across as a jerk, but I think this is going to be a point of character development and character growth in this season. We'll see. Anyway, they head down to the Southern Water Tribe. The chief of the Northern Water Tribe comes down to visit and is not pleased with all of these carnival-themed rides and other things there. Interesting note, Korra is apparently not a regular kid, as I thought before. Her dad is not only the chief of the Southern Water Tribe, her uncle is the chief of the Northern Water Tribe. Very interesting. From the moment I saw the guy, I thought, is he going to be the bad guy? I think he might be, or he might be one of the bad guys. Does not look like somebody you would exactly trust. But, hey, they could have given him a black hat, black coat, black hood, black horse, or something like that. So or a scar on his eye, but maybe he's not. I don't know. Anyway, he's not pleased, and but yeah, and he offers to train Korra in new spiritual techniques. He's really pushing to train Korra. Her father says no. Tenzin disagrees. There's a little side story about Asami getting funding for her company to produce more of the planes that were used in the final battle. She goes to this eccentric billionaire who controls all the shipping, who actually has this nice little bit with showing them a picture. It was kind of funny. I kept shouting, show the train driving at them. I'm stupid. But yeah, I don't. He was kind of funny, but that part is it's not really conducive to the main plot, only to sort of be comic relief. But it's good. Just a side note, if you like Bolin being a badass, you will not get your fill here because he is all comic relief these 2 episodes. He's just that fun, but he's funny. He's legitimately funny. So anyway, Korra is attacked by a spirit god or spirit demon or whatever in the night, and they fight it off, but they try to fight it off, but only her uncle can sort of calm it down by doing some kind of bending technique. Earlier in the episode, actually, a spirit had attacked a ship, and it's mentioned that spirits have been attacking different ships around the Southern Water Tribe. The spirits look kind of cool. It's interesting what they did with them, but it's just a tiny bit of a letdown for me because I just saw Princess Mononoke, and the spirits in there looked looked a lot better. But this different animators, different budgets, different technology. So leave that. Anyway, Korra's uncle says that they're angry. Balance needs to be restored to the Southern Water Tribe, and he sort of says it's kind of been following Korra's dad around, and we get this whole story about how Korra's dad was banished from the Northern Water Tribe. I won't spoil the whole thing for you. But it's an interesting story. I wonder why the spirits didn't come after him sooner. Were they really that calmed down? I wonder why this whole problem hasn't happened sooner. But whatever. So anyway, they decide to go on this big journey into the South Pole to open the spirit door in order to help restore balance. They head out there. They have adventures, hijinks ensue with Bolin, who's kind of got a crush on the Northern Water Tribe's daughter, who takes to him because he entertains her. It's kind of funny, although you feel a little sorry for the guy. I was always kind of a Bolin Korra person, but that didn't happen. And hey, what do I know? I've written for nobody, and I have no money. So, and those people who do this do. So, yeah. Anyway, they head down to the South Pole, are attacked again by spirits. Still heading down there. Korra makes it to the spirit door and manages, with using the Avatar state to open it. We get to the end and we see that the Northern Water Tribe's troops are coming in. Like I said, he didn't look like a very trustworthy guy. So overall opinions, these are good episodes. not as good as the first episodes of the last season, but I'm waiting to see what else happens. These at times this almost seemed like a final episode, like they were going on a final journey, or like this was like a mini movie, like it was separate from everything. And like, okay, now that we're done with that little bit, this little extra adventure, let's go into the real story. But there is a real story to tell, and but the stakes just don't seem as high. I know there are spirits attacking, and that's more dangerous maybe than a mon, but it doesn't seem quite as threatening. It doesn't seem quite as interesting. Um, as previously. But I'm willing to give this a chance. I'm willing to wait to see what happens and wait to see what the main story is. Because at the moment, I'm not too sure what the main story is going to be. Are they going to be dealing with spirits the whole time? Is something else going to be happening? There was a little bit with Tenzin's oldest daughter walking around and looking at the Avatar statues, and one seems to glow when the door is open. Are we going to have a big arc with the Avatars? I don't know. I don't know where this is going, but I want to see what happens out of curiosity. The animation in this episode was fantastic, especially they're animating snow, and that's very cool to look at. It's very beautiful, it's very spectacular. The comedy is good, the action's pretty decent. Not my favorite, but it's still pretty cool. Um, it's a good episode. I hope it improves. I hope it all gets better. And I can't wait to see more of Korra. Next time, a review of Beware the Batman.